Hey, what's up? It's Monday. It's time. Time for a show. It is no longer the weekend. The cat's over there snoring. I can hear. Wow. I think we need 3-day weekends during this thing. I need more time. 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2020. That's right, 4/20, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Wow. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I sure did. Didn't do a whole heck of a lot, but that was needed. Um, Yesterday, I spent a bunch of time working in the yard, and it's my yard's gonna look better than it ever has. I spent a bunch of time gardening, not so much gardening, getting ready for gardening, planting things, transplanting things, watering things, uh, making cuttings to hopefully root new trees. I mean, just, what else am I gonna do? I went to the grocery store for the first time in 3 weeks. Spent $200. There was not a lot left here. I mean, there was, but it was all like, pasta, rice, beans, like stuff like that. And I've been eating a lot more of that, but need to put stuff in it. So I went, bought some treats, if you will. I got a pint of ice cream, I bought some beer, bought a couple bottles of wine, cottage cheese, the stuff that allows me to be versatile with my food and just kind of enjoy life. And the weather was great, and I got a bunch of stuff done, and I felt really productive, and I'm happy, and here we are, it's Monday again. So what's going on today? We got a show. We got an episode out. Who's out today? Let's find out. Today's episode is with, drumroll, Sifu George Ann Berrigan. We recorded this a little while ago, so I don't remember a lot of details. But what do I remember? I remember this woman being very open, very honest. Happy Monday, Stacy. Very. There's a feel that I'm trying to put into words. She's real, very real. I asked her some pretty direct questions, some pretty probing questions that I don't want to spoil for you. But she had no problem answering them. She was more than happy to, and very honest. And it was a great conversation. I think that's the garbage truck. It's, garbage is already out because I put it out Sunday night now. What else is going on today? Potential client call at 9:30. Client stuff. Work. It's just work. Work until I don't feel like working anymore, and then we'll see what the weather's going to be and do some more work tomorrow. And that's it. Just trying to stay active. I've been struggling a little bit, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I've talked about this on this show, but this is not an easy time. And I'm finally seeing people talking about that. We started with all these jokes. I mean, humor is often a coping mechanism, right? All these jokes. Hey, do you want to wear your work pajamas or your sleep pajamas? And just, yeah, the situation we're in is not in a way that I disagree with it, but it's ridiculous. Like, none of us have ever dealt with this before. It's crazy. Surreal is the word I've been using personally. This is a very surreal situation. And it is taking a toll on me. And I'm finally at a place where I'm ready to admit that. My life up until now, up until a month ago, was this. But I had the benefit of contrast. I could go outside, I could go out with friends, I could go to bars, I could go to restaurants, I could go to the gym, I could go train. And I don't have that contrast now. And I'm finding that I am less happy, less productive, less everything. And that's why on weekends I've been spending so much more time outside than normal, because I don't want to be inside. I want to do something that's not involving a TV or a phone or a computer. And it'll end at some point. And if you're feeling the same way, my heart goes out to you. But we'll get through it, because we're doing what we gotta do. So, message coming. Stacy writes, Team Smashy Smash, powered by Whistlekick, participated in a virtual breaking tournament this weekend. She hit a PR. Which one of you hit a PR? I'm assuming you mean Laura hit a PR of 12 boards with an elbow. Wow. Go, Laura. How did you do, Stacy? And Stacy says she agrees 100% on the feelings I'm describing. Well, yeah, I've learned that being able to voice how I'm feeling makes it better for me, makes it a little bit easier, and has the added bonus of maybe offering someone else some support, the knowledge that they're not alone. I saw something funny on, I think it was Facebook, prior to coming live for the show. And I said, can we, before we have to go back to work, can we have 2 weeks notice so we can, what did it say? 10 board stomp, wow. Elbow and hand were not as good as usual. I would predict that most people wouldn't be as good as usual through this. But this meme I saw said, can we have a couple weeks notice before we go back to work so we can, lose all the board eating weight, cut our hair, and what was the third thing? And remember to stop drinking at 9 a.m. I don't know how many people are drinking in the morning. I'm not. I still got work to do. Alcohol, to my mind, is a signal that you don't have to do anything. And that doesn't work out well. Let's see what we got for questions and comments. I know we got some stuff in. If you want to leave something, and I hope you do, just drop it in the comments and I'll answer it tomorrow. Today, Monday, April 20th, 2020, is Patriots Day. One thing Patriots Day celebrates is the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Stacy says we're going to be fully clothed, and fully dressed in work clothes again. On that famous ride, of course, he warned that the redcoats are coming. If you could issue a warning of things to come to the martial arts community, what would it be? I think the greatest thing facing us right now is this push towards practicality, and I think that pendulum has a little bit further to swing before it comes back. And unfortunately, the casualty of that is the loss of some traditional elements. We might see a couple styles burn out, go away. But I think everyone needs to realize that just because something is traditional, it's not bad. Just because something isn't practical as you see it in a street confrontation doesn't mean it's valueless. we get so wrapped around the axle on some things, that would never work on the street and forums and this, and so what? How many things do we do in our day-to-day lives that aren't for anything other than enjoyment or killing time, personal development? I continue to maintain that martial arts is not just about, or even primarily about, fighting skills. I know plenty of great martial artists who have never been in a fight. There's this something I read about in probably middle school or high school history class, and it was this idea that if a nation develops a really strong military technology, big wartime technology that others do not have, that they're going to find a way to use it. They're going to find an excuse. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm a decent enough student of history, but not at that level. My knowledge of history is more political than it is militaristic. But it makes sense. You have the cliche in movies of somebody gets a gun and they show it off. And we have a bit of that in martial arts too, don't we? Somebody starts training, they want to talk about it, they want to show people their technique. We like to show off, especially when what we're showing off makes us feel powerful, strong. I think there are some out there who become so infatuated with their own skill that they develop a severe ego, and they want to test people. They want to prove that how they feel is reality. And this is another way of saying, without some of the tempering effects of the personal development side of martial arts, forms and basics for hours on end, etc., you can turn into a bit of a jerk. And is that more likely to create a situation? Maybe. I think we'll see over the next few years, as we see the way fight scenes are portrayed in action films, martial arts films. I think it'll tell us a lot about how the world is viewing martial arts. You look at a movie like Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi is the way people in the early 80s saw martial arts. We knew that there was another side of that. We knew that there was Cobra Kai. But people respected martial arts. We don't see quite as much of that in film today. So that's my warning. Watch for that. And try to be a force to balance it out. Will you be celebrating Patriots Day? I don't really celebrate holidays. Here in New England, we're probably a little more aware of Paul Revere than in other parts of the country. And in fact, if you go to Boston, you can take a walking tour of his ride. See where he went, how accurate it is, I don't know. But I don't really celebrate very many holidays. What is celebration? It's to do something different in acknowledgement of whatever the cause is or the holiday. And to me, holidays are about family and getting together with them. And obviously, that's not happening right now. And I don't know anybody that gets together for Patriots Day. I don't even think this is a bank holiday. Maybe it is. Who knows? And then our final one today. What is one thing you are passionate about rebelling against? Ooh, that could be a long list. I follow rules mostly, overall. Okay. Um, I don't follow them all. Few people do. How many people always drive the speed limit or less? Very few. Why are most of us okay with driving, 5 miles an hour over the speed limit? Because we don't see consequence in it. We don't think it's going to be an issue. What's the greatest consequence that usually comes from that? Possibly a speeding ticket. There are different, kind of two different categories of rules. You've got the ones that you agree with because you see consequences and you see the value in those rules. And then you have rules where the reason you follow them is because you don't want to get caught. 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. 15. Most people would agree that driving 10 or 15 on the highway, yeah, statistically makes you more likely to have an issue, but probably not going to be a big deal. If you ask someone, how would you feel about there being no speed limit on the roads? Most people would probably say, I don't know about that one, right? Because they start to see that there's consequence. But the question asks, what am I most passionate about rebelling against? It's not any one thing. It's about the status quo. It's about what is asked of me and what is expected of me. And this has been my whole life. When I came out of college, I had opportunities for, a well-paying, conventional 9-to-5 job. Thought that's what I wanted, not what I ended up with. I've spent a total of 6 months working full-time for somebody else in my life. Went off on my own. I've owned my own business since I graduated college. I started my first business, which was a landscaping business, in high school. There's a bit of rebellion in there. When people told me whistlekick wouldn't work, I doubled down. When people told me my last business, my IT company, wouldn't work, I put everything I had into it, made it work, sold it. When the world would have said, don't buy this small house in the middle of the woods, 3 miles up dirt roads, I did. I look at how things impact my life, and I make my decisions. I don't eat the way that I'm told to. This show is ridiculous. I think you can if you start to look at what we do at Whistlekick, if you have been watching this show for any length of time, you can probably get a sense that I will respect rules and authority up to the point that they deserve respect. I do not blindly accept much. I am the last person to repost a political anything on Facebook without spending the time verifying it, reading it. Because I refuse to subscribe to ideology. I just don't do it. I do what works for me. I feel everyone should have the space to do what works for them. And that comes through in martial arts and non. I'm the only person I know of who says that we shouldn't be defining martial arts as something or not as something, because who grants you the authority to say? It's not a popular opinion. There are things that most people would point out and say, that's terrible martial arts. That's a McDojo. Well, there's probably somebody out there who would classify what you do as terrible in your school as a McDojo. What's the point? Is that school going to stop because you don't like them? No. So spend your energy on something more constructive. And so maybe that's the biggest thing that I rebel against is the classification, the infighting, the division, the divisiveness that mass media and society tries to force us into. You have to be this or that. No, I don't. And I don't accept the premise. When the world tells you you have to choose A or B, I think the more important thing is to ask why is that the system we've ended up with? Now you could look at that from politics, you could look at that in a lot of ways. How did we get there? You have to buy this or buy that. You have to feel this way or that way. No, I don't. We're all complex human beings. And we have different sets of ideas and histories that have brought us to where we are, wherever we are. Don't be afraid to forge your own road. If you want unpopular result or uncommon results, you have to take unpopular action. Thank you. Stacy says we're better for your rebellion. I don't know if I can say, I mean, I could throw more words at it, but I think it's roughly the same thing. So I think I'll let it sit there. I rebel against everything. But not simply for the sake of rebelling. Now my wheels are turning. Thanks, Frank. Shout out to Frank for all his help asking questions and on the back end of the show. I appreciate you. Go check out the episode of Martial Arts Radio with Sifu Varigan. If you have suggestions for the show, email them over, jeremy@whistlekick.com. If you haven't checked out the strength and conditioning program yet, do so. We've got a price bump coming. I think it's next week. It's going to only be a couple bucks, but it's a couple bucks. And don't forget, use the code FIRSTCUP15 if you want to save 15% on that or anything else over there. We put a new shirt out in the store last week. We sold some of those. That's a fun shirt. I'm going to have to get myself one of those. And Yeah. I think that's it. So I hope you have a fantastic day. Hope you leave some questions or some comments below for me to respond to tomorrow. If you're new to the show, remember, subscribe and turn on notifications because we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. Thanks for your time. See you tomorrow. Take care. Peace.